Mr. Young.
I want to thank the chairman for holding this hearing on what really works. I think it's incredibly important, maybe mundane to some people, maybe boring to others, metrics and data and all these other things. But let me begin by defining the challenge and perhaps identifying the opportunity or opportunities as I see it here. My interest in this topic actually emerged the second I found out I was going to get on this committee. I suspected, it wasn't unlikely, I was going to be in the Human Resources Subcommittee, and that's a good thing. We deal on this committee with what some regard as unsolvable social pathologies. And I sort of refuse to believe that. So I know a number of pilot programs over the years have taken place across our 50 states. And so I directed members, associates on our team, to try and identify the results of those different pilot programs and find some central repository where we could find out what really works and under what circumstances. It was incredibly tedious work, and frankly, there was no such repository. It was not a navigable website. There wasn't a particular organization that seemed to have answers about what really works and what data you can look at and what works under different circumstances. I found this frustrating as a policymaker, and I think at the state level, local level, not-for-profits, academics, think tankers, and so on could all benefit from more clarity here and a more robust collection of data. What are we left with without this sort of repository of accessible data? Well, we make policy based on ideology, on politics, on analogy, sometimes anecdotes, the news of the day, but we don't really make decisions based on the hard data. And so started doing a bit of reading, discovered that in 1988, there was, under the AFDC Reform Act of that year, not often talked about, there was a requirement that data be collected on the recipient population of AFDC. That data, years later, oftentimes it does take years for this information to be teased out, that data established the intellectual groundwork for bipartisan reform of the AFDC program, now the TANF program. We need to make similar efforts in other areas. We need to do more evidence-based policy making. I visited Mr. Barron. Thank you. It's so great to see you here today, and you're really a gift to this conversation. I thank everyone else as well, and we've convened a group of people to discuss this topic. It's my hope that we can come up with a more systematic way of collecting data in a number of different areas and promulgate and disseminate that data to others for the purpose of research and also for the purpose of evaluation, so that when innovation occurs at the state level, we will know if in fact it's working, and then share. It's an iterative process. Share what is learned with others, and that will enable us to do very creative things like social impact bonds, pay for performance, pay for success in some of these social areas. The same sort of thing we do in, say, the transportation sector, performance-based contracting. Mr. Barron, you said Congress could take steps in your statement towards what I've envisioned, I believe, by authorizing and encouraging agencies to allow greater research access to administrative data with appropriate privacy protections so as to facilitate low-cost, rigorous evaluations. I have two questions for you. First, what data is the federal government failing to collect that we ought to be collecting about beneficiaries of government programs? And second, and I see your time's winding down, so you can submit this in writing, but second, I did want to get it on record. What data is already being collected by the federal government, such as receipt of government assistance, employment status, earning status, that we should release to the public for research purposes, so it's not just our bureaucrats who are armed with all the information?
Very quick, I'd like to submit it in writing, but also a very quick answer to the second part of your question. This subcommittee took a major step forward, we believe. We were very supportive of increasing researcher access with appropriate privacy protections to the national Registry of New Hires, the NDNH data, National Directory of New Hires, which has at the federal level the employment and earnings records. You can use it to measure employment and earning outcomes for participants in any study. It should be more widely available. It would reduce the cost of some of these studies, rigorous studies, by a factor of 10 or more.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Thank all of